This is Call the Play, and I have to say that I'm just sort of obsessed with this horse after doing his first ride here this morning. Thoroughbreds just always blow me away, and they're all so different, but in general, if I'm going to make a broad generalization about the breed, they just tend to be really well broke and very happy to do whatever job you're going to ask them to do. Of course, there's always exceptions to every rule, but this horse just absolutely exemplifies that. And he is just such a nice, kind, quiet, easy horse. And I'm really just so happy to have him. So he's a 3 year old. And he's with me because after he was broke as a 2 year old, he went into training and he did a tendon on his left front. And he wasn't training well anyway, I'm sure, because you'll see in a moment when I'm riding him that the horse is slow as molasses. Not in a awful nagging way. He's perfectly happy to work. He just doesn't want to work in any sort of quick way at all. So anyway, he did the tendon and uh, couldn't have been showing much promise. So they decided to call it and say this horse wants to be just a riding horse, not a race horse. But I do have to say, and this is what obviously good people in any discipline of horse sports do, they spared no expense to spend all the money on rehabbing him. So he's been at a rehab training facility for months, and obviously he's completely done with his rehab. And he's just spent the last couple of months just, turned out in a field with another horse, just being a horse. And he was cleared to return to racing, but, they just decided it wasn't worth it. So he's with me. He's being restarted as just a riding horse. And when a horse has done a tendon, I'm probably not going to recommend that he go on to be your next advanced level eventer anyway, but I'm sure you can already tell after having just watched him trot for 5 seconds that he really doesn't want to do that job anyway. He wants to be like a 2 foot, 2'6", 2'9" hunter or trail riding horse or, first and second flight hunt horse. He has absolutely no desire to go very fast in any sort of an exciting way anyway. Could he event? Absolutely. I could see this horse being like a lower level eventing packer of a lifetime for somebody. He has the best, most quietest brain. He is a cute little mover, super balanced canter. I mean, the horse just blew it away because you have to think to yourself, so he was broke as a 2 year old, started training, and then got injured. So he likely hasn't been ridden in, God, months. I mean, I know he hasn't been ridden in months and months. It's probably been over 6 months since somebody sat on him. And then today I just tacked him up. It's a cold, windy day. Came out to the ring, got right on, no lunging required. And this is how we went. I mean, I think I rode him for 12 minutes total, and it's the entire video. We popped into the canter pretty quickly because he was just so quiet when I got on. I was kicking and kicking, so I thought, all right, maybe if we find our way into a canter, then the trot might have a little bit more impulsion, which it did. It helped the trot a lot. And I just love him because his canter is balanced, it's rhythmic. He knows his job, which is impressive because he hasn't been doing it that long. And you can literally drop the reins on this horse and just he's happy to plod around. So after we came back from the canter, I thought he had a much more flowing trot. We found a little bit of energy and impulsion from cantering. So obviously this horse does not have a lot of riding experience in general. So I'm just introducing this concept of connection, and in no way, shape, or form do I expect him to be like totally round. He has no clue what I'm really asking for. But here, and I'm just gently asking, right? I don't want this to be stressful for him. I don't want him to leave this ride thinking that was a really unpleasant experience. I want this to be fun and easy for him. So I'm just sort of gently asking him to start thinking about the idea of finding a little bit of roundness, a little bit of softness. And he actually gave me some, like right there, those are some really nice steps. And it's a great feeling when he's there. So yeah, I mean, I think that he makes a beautiful shape and just so willing to give it a go. And he's super light in my hands here. So I thought that was really good. So I wanted to take some pressure off then and sort of show off this awesome feeling that he gives of just sort of a packer, which is crazy because he's only 3. So obviously he's not a packer yet, but he definitely is going to be destined to be one. So I just sort of dropped the reins. We trotted around. Notice that his rhythm really never changes. His ears are always perked. He's a happy camper. Crazy to think this is a 3-year-old that hasn't been ridden in 6 months, and he's just so happy to go around like such a good horse. That's what I love about thoroughbreds, just to be totally cheesy. All right, so that was to the left. So then we turned around, went to the right, and he was just as good to the right. He's very even both directions. I can't really say that one way is easier or harder than the other. So it was sort of funny when we went to the right. It was a little bit like starting over with the impulsion. So we took like a minute walking break. And then when I started thinking about trotting, I realized that maybe we had lost our impulsion. So I did go to the right lead canter pretty quickly also. So here I am asking to trot. Big effort. So here I've just got a little bit of a feel, asking for a little bit of softness and roundness. We got sucked into this corner a little bit. Just felt a little bit too slow to really be able to work on finding any sort of connection. So then I asked him for his right canter, which to his credit, he got both leads the first time I asked. Takes quite a big bit of leg and clucking to get this horse into the canter. There we go. There's some really nice steps there. And then he wanted to get a little bit low, but that's no big deal. I'd rather that he get low in his frame, which is fine for a young horse, than to get behind the frame. So he's never ducking behind vertical. So if he wants to put his head low and have a stretchy frame as he figures out, how to sort all this out, that's totally fine with me. He's not pulling through. He's calm in his mouth. He's not dipping behind the vertical. So it's all good. I'm just glad that he's considering what I'm asking. So here, I think I start asking for the right canter. Yep. So much squeezing. I almost gave up, and then we found it. Good boy. In the trot, he does take quite a bit of leg, but in the canter, he's just so balanced in the canter. I usually do find that on the better horses, the canter is always the premier gait, and it's just so easy for him to maintain this rhythm that he's very much on cruise control. It doesn't take nearly as much leg in the canter. So I always sort of start in half seat, and then if I feel like they're relaxed, then I find my way into a more sitting position, which he obviously was great and he didn't care. And on him, I dropped the reins again to the right. A little bit of steering needed in the corner, but otherwise, no reins required. I'm just so amused by this horse. It's just so rare that you get a 3-year-old in this circumstance that's just going to come out and be this unbelievably good. So I did something on this horse that I can tell you I've never done on any other horse before since I've ever been doing this, which is that so it was cloudy when we were doing this, so I hadn't bothered to do proper confirmation pictures. So after I rode him, I thought, okay, well, let's just take off his saddle and we'll just shoot a couple of pictures here in the ring, or we actually ended up going right outside the ring. But anyway, so I took off his tack in the ring, which of course I don't normally do, and we're shooting a couple of pictures, and Billy says, I feel like this horse is so quiet, you could just get on and ride him bareback. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I totally could just get on this horse and ride him around bareback. So after we shot a couple confo pictures, we went back into the ring, and yep, he let me climb up on him bareback, and we walked a couple circles. And the horse is, I mean, the horse is just unbelievable. I suspect it will be a very long time before I encounter another horse that I feel like that's a good idea to do that with. So after we cantered to the right, and then we did like, our long rein on the buckle and the trot and the canter, I decided to end with just asking a little bit more for a few steps of the connection. So here I'm asking, he's like, oh, I'm thinking, I don't really know. What is this weird thing? And then here it starts to click a little bit. Yep, that's better. That's the right idea. Those are some really nice steps. Super nice down this long side. And then we come into this corner, and this is always like the suck you in corner. So I sort of lose a little bit of the straightness. So then coming out of the corner, we're starting over a little bit. And then I just wanted a couple more good steps here. I think he gives it to me coming right up here. There we go. He starts to give me some roundness. And so then that was a wrap. Super nice horse. Yeah, Annie's inside. So then I got off here. We did some confo pictures, and then, yep, I had to test it out. Can I get on this horse bareback on his first post track ride? I certainly can. Such a perfect horse. And he's extremely big bodied. You know, obviously he's in no way racehorse fit anymore. And he's super plump and he's really big boned and he's a good height. He sticks a little bit over 16.1, but he just feels really solid. So actually a very comfortable horse to ride around bareback. And then there's a really hilarious moment here where we're walking up by the gate and I was stopping him anyway to get off because I mean really what more can you ask from a 3-year-old on their first ride off the track? And the tack was on the gate and so was the saddle pad, and the wind, it was super windy. The wind blows the saddle pad off the gate. It took me a minute to realize what was happening. But look at how small a spook this horse does for the wind just blowing the saddle pad off the gate. I mean, it was hilarious. What a good boy. So then I've just got a little bit more of him on cross ties. And yeah, he is as close to a unicorn as it can possibly be.